Welcome. My name is Gail Scott, and I'm your host of this 12 Days of Conversation. And this is conversation number 7. And I'm super excited to be able to introduce you to a wonderful individual that I have come to know and love over the last 10 years. Her name is Adelade LaFontaine. She is from Ontario, but working and living in Quebec, in Montreal. And Adelade is a personal fitness trainer, and she works online and in person. So welcome to the show, Adelade. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and asking me to do this. I'm very excited.
Awesome. Awesome. So Adelade, you and I have been working together for 10 months now, and I know that you are super passionate about your business and about life and everything. So help the audience just to learn a little bit more about you in terms of, what drives you every day to go out and help people in the fitness world. Why is that so important to you?
It's important to me because of the way that it helped me before I became a trainer and used it professionally. But I was always kind of somebody who struggled on and off with anxiety or feeling down, and having fitness as an outlet, it was always something I went back to, and something that was a really positive release for me. And it wasn't always necessarily about, having a hot bod or like losing weight or things like that, but it was just about the way that it made me feel. And I feel really strongly about sharing that with others and helping others find that for themselves as well.
So you mentioned that, it's not about having the hot bod and it's not about the way it looks and all of that. So then it feels to me like it's more about, what that exercise did for you as an all-round person, rather than just, there's only one end goal. And so tell us, I know that you're also in doing some coaching training as well. How do you help your clients encompass all of that mind, body, spirit experience? Is that something that you've had to get your head around to be able to then bring that in to the work that you do? How do you do that?
And it's something that I'm still constantly working at for myself. But I think it's about finding what each individual person is motivated by. So, for somebody having that six pack could be really important. For somebody else, it could be, a health condition, or it could be they want to just live a full life and be there for themselves, but also for the people in their lives. So I think it starts with finding out what motivates each person, and then working off of that.
Right, right. And I think you brought up a really good point in terms of, the attitude that you bring to your day on a daily basis, because motivation, I think, is something that's so important. So along with the idea of motivation comes inspiration. So who inspires you? Who have been people along the way that have inspired you to be able to create this well-rounded mind, body, spirit, a life that most of us are aspiring to? Who inspires you with that?
I can't really say any specific names, but there have been people in my lives who are entrepreneurial, who were always, just doing things that they loved, that helped other people, and that weren't about the money. And the thing is, like, for me, I grew up in a home where my parents were very, you have to have a university degree, you have to have this job, that job, and that's kind of the goal. And I've learned that, it can't be about that. If you're gonna, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think the other stuff comes first, and once you just do what you love, and I feel like I went off on a tangent a little
No,
bit,
it's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's perfect. It's
but
perfect. Keep going.
but when you're doing what you love and you're connecting with others, and you don't let all of those outside influences come in, then what's meant to happen for you will.
Right. And that beautifully segues into this idea of sacred economics that I've been bringing to every interview that I've been doing. And I know you're going to share something wonderful with our audience in a little bit. But I want to touch on that idea that, happiness comes from within and from that state of being of contentment and balance rather than always pushing and seeking and wanting more, and it being from a financial place. And when I think about the energy of sacred economics, it's actually not that there isn't wealth involved in it. There is, except it's more where you take ownership of the value of what you're bringing, what you're giving, what you're receiving. And many times people have a hard time actually receiving things. And so part of this sacred economics philosophy is that we allow people to decide what the value is. And sometimes, that can really be difficult for people to kind of get a hold of. Sometimes with my clients, I will intuitively say, well, it does cost this much to work with me, but I'm wondering what the value is to you and how can you come up with a number? And so, I want to share a little bit of our personal experience, if you're okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So, Adelaide and I started working together in February, and we have actually changed the amount of money and the way that we work with each other using this sacred economics principle. And, so I'm interested, for me, it's been a wonderful experience. What's it been like for you?
Working with you
Yeah, and
specifically?
using and use not so much working with me, so we don't need to know, like, whatever your highs and lows of that have been, but the idea that we've been able to create a relationship where, yes, it's been about money and it's been about bartering goods and services, and we've been able to navigate that and change the energy of that several times. So
Mhm.
is that is that something you've done with someone else? Is that a new kind of experience in business for you?
Uh, yes, it is. So, and it worked out really well for me, but I think we started working together as just a regular kind of transaction of, um, me training you. And then as I got to know you and learn more about you and trust you, then I really was able to also see the value in being able to like connect with you and do this exchange.
Mhm.
I didn't even really have to, think twice about it.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you for that. And it's just been a total gift for me as well. And so, the idea that that's possible, right? That we can create a business through a different kind of energy. Now, tell me about the people that you generally love to work with. So who's your ideal client? I mean, it sounds like a very, standard question. However, your personal trainer, and there's a ton of personal trainers out there, and I know how fabulous you are with what you do and the results that I've achieved, but who do you really like to work with the most?
It's funny because when you start any kind of business and you do any sort of like business coaching program or something, there's always a part where you have to visualize your ideal client. And I think like what I thought was my ideal client had definitely has changed a lot. So my ideal client is somebody who has the desire to make positive changes within themselves, for their mind, for their body, um, and who is also someone who's down to earth and easy to like connect with and joke around with and chat with, and you don't have to be so like intense, and and as long as you're there doing what you came to do, which is moving your body, which is very different from every other person. that's my ideal client.
Right. I
And
really get that part about, being down to earth, because that was one of the things that really attracted me to you when I hired you, was when I looked at your homepage on the website and I could see that you were just a beautiful, regular woman. And you said, you want to get fit. I got you. It's uncomplicated. And I thought, wow. And then the part about, you'll never regret any workout unless you break a bone, but you'll still never regret the workout. And I thought, oh my goodness, this girl has a sense of humor, and it's not all serious. And so
yeah.
I love that. Now tell us a little bit about the other side of you, because I know that you've been an event planner and you've worked in the comedy industry. Tell us a little bit about that, because I don't know anything about that about you.
Oh, yeah. So that's like kind of my sort of past life. So I was producing comedy shows full time for before I started this for about 5 years. I'd started my own show actually in Toronto, and it started as a storytelling show, and it turned into a comedy show that I do throughout Canada, and it still runs. Um, and before I was doing that, I was wedding planning, so I was always kind of involved in events. And in one way or another, I just I like having some kind of positive impact on people's lives, whether that's, being a part of making their dream wedding happen, or just making them, be able to sit in a room and laugh. And with that, though, with working in that industry, I had like my life was kind of ups and downs. So you know, events, comedy shows were in bars. There was lots of partying, lots of kind of like chaos in that aspect, and with that, I still had my outlet of fitness training for me, and that kind of calmed that.
Right.
And
So you had that element of connection with your body. Sounds like as an outlet
mhm,
to that other lifestyle that you were living, right?
mhm.
So now where you are now in your business, you're successful, you do personal training one-on-one with people in person and online. So share a little bit about the experience of doing it online with a client versus being in person, because I'm sure there's many people out there who think, oh, I probably wouldn't be able to do it online. I'm not going to get the results online. How are they going to check my form and I don't get injured? What happens if I get injured and I'm working online? What's your experience of the success of that with people?
I'll be honest, like I mean, people who do it online have the same and sometimes better, because they tend to do it more often because they don't have the commute of the gym back and forth, but are the same results or better. And when it comes to being able to check form and stuff, like we work together too, where it's like, maybe it takes a couple times to make sure your camera is positioned where it needs to be so I can see everything, but I will still stop you and say, like, you have to make sure your back is straight, your chest is whatever.
Right.
um and like, honestly, if somebody is kind of hesitant, I would really just suggest to try it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. And that was my experience with you. I've been someone who's worked out with personal trainers for the last over 20 years and always in person. And so when I found you way back at the beginning of this year, I was immediately attracted because of your beautiful website and the energy and the referral. It was a recommendation that came through a Facebook group. Um, and then when we did our one first session, I was so impressed of how effective it was. And so really, I would say to anyone out there, if you are, if you're thinking, well, I really need to work out, but I can't get to a gym for whatever reason, or I don't want to go to a gym anymore, this is really a great alternative. What would you say is the percentage of business in terms of how many people you work with online compared to in person? Is it 50-50? Like, what is it?
I would say it's 50-50. um,
Wow.
because I have, in addition to my one-on-one clients, I do have like my group classes as well, and then we have kind of a little online community there. Um, I mean, it's definitely gone up for the in person, but I find that the in person, it's kind of, they come and go. Where I find the online they seem to stick around for longer.
Right. Well, and I imagine, I know from my own experience, the fact that I don't have to leave my house, I don't have to do anything except log into Zoom and change my clothes. The idea that this pandemic has given us, for many of us, an opportunity to access, services like yours, where we wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. And so, for me, being able to work out with you 3 times a week and have it in my schedule is just the easiest thing. It's a no-brainer. I don't even have to think about it. Yes, I did have to buy some bigger weights when I got stronger. But I've also, just for those of you who know, I have gone on vacation and continued with my routine with Adelaide without any weights, and done workouts, every other day doing that. So for those of you out there who are making excuses to yourselves, you can stop, because this really does work. Now, so I just love your energy. You're always so upbeat. Every workout is different. I'm not into the group stuff, but I'm sure there are people who are. So where can people find you in order to really look at what all the options are that you provide for people?
So the best place would probably be my website, agmhealthfitness.com. You can also find me on Instagram, which is AGM Health Fitness as well. On my website, you'll see some of the stuff, but it's always, I always recommend, let's have a conversation and figure out something that works for you.
Right. So you're learning about the person before you're deciding what it is that that's really the best solution for them, for the goal that they're looking for. Right. Now, I know that you also do some other kind of coaching work, nutrition work. Talk about that a little bit, because that's not something I needed, but I know that you offer that too. So how does that work with the personal training? Is it separate? Is it included? How does it work?
So I have options to include it coming up in the new year, because just as they say, you can't out train a bad diet, right? But the thing is, like, I've learned as well with my own processes, that what works for some people doesn't work for other people. So, some people might like calorie tracking, some people might like to just take photos, um and for the first little bit, it's just kind of learning what that is. And the coaching is kind of, helping the other person figure out what it is that works for them.
Right. So I'm hearing it's really quite personalized for the individual. And I love that, because I'm sure that that's also what you do in the workouts, because I know for anyone out there who, is fearful of, I have a bad shoulder, or, I have a bad knee. And I know many people, especially in their 50s, who are, less active now because of the situation that we're dealing with, that can be an issue. But I know that you can work around that, right?
Oh, always. And a lot of people, because of injuries or just the fact that they haven't moved very much in the in the past year, couple years, 10 years, months, whatever it is, that will sometimes deter them entirely and become scared of it. And the thing is, we just figure out what, that could just be, we start with very simple balance movements. We work on posture. I'm not somebody who is there to, like, you know create this intense workout that's a one size fits all, that's, scary. I want it to be an enjoyable, something you look forward to, not something you kind of dread,
Right. Yeah. Especially when you're paying good money for it, right? Now tell us a little bit about energy, and about your energy, and about your passion for life, and how you stay grounded, and how you stay connected, to yourself on a spiritual level because, there's the body, and then there's the mind, the way that we think, but then there's the soul and there's the spiritual aspect. How has that evolved with you? Have you always had that? What's that like for you?
No, it's really, really evolved in this past year. Uh, Small things have been a part of my life for a long time, and there's been a lot of things that I've always wanted to tap into but never did, and I never really did. And honestly, quite honestly, until I met you and like started working more with you, and I'm doing the things that I always wanted to and never started. So and that's kind of an ongoing process for me. But it's really helped me in being able to connect with people and my clients. And it means so much. Like it's so important. Um, and I find that like that having those connections, um, that I can feel in my soul and when I talk to other people, that's really like, I don't know, that's kind of the purpose of why I do what I do.
Beautiful. So what I'm hearing is really that there's been a shift in your energy, in the way that you connect with people as a result of the past year of your own personal growth.
Hmm.
And it feels like that. And so tell me, how do you bring an energy of passion and purpose and play into your life on an ongoing basis? So that for me is super important, but I'm wondering if you could share with the audience and the listeners, what do you do that keeps you in that playful place and feeling passionate about life? Because you really are doing your purpose in what you're doing.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is my dog,
Right.
and like just for me, I'm just like I look at him as almost a human, and like he's just has this unconditional love, and then being like if I'm having not a great day or something, just being able to like have him come and sit with me and just calm me, or take him outside and just he's always got this energy, and I love that. And then another thing is keeping having my own sort of fitness community group that is outside of work. So keeping that, and for the first little while, it was really hard for me to maintain that routine while doing this as a career. So I would think of I'd have my online group classes, and I would think, oh, that's my workout, but it wasn't. And so it's important to have those things where I can be in my zone and have my own space. And
Right. So really keeping yourself as your number one priority in practicing what you preach, in walking the talk, basically.
yeah,
It's like, as a coach, we're always told, you're only one step ahead of your next client, meaning if you don't keep working on your own personal development, you're going to continue to just attract the same clients over and over and over, and there's no growth. So that's what I'm hearing. And I love the idea of the dog, because as you know, my daughter just got a puppy, and she has got her own little personality, and she's become, a really integral part of the three of us now in my
yeah,
house. So I really get that they have their own personalities, and almost like a soul contract that you have with this beautiful being that happens to be in the form of a pet.
yeah.
Yeah. So now let's shift back to our earlier conversation about sacred economics and about what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table for the community. So this offer is available for anyone who is live on this call or listening to the YouTube replay. And so tell us a little bit about how you've kind of constructed that for us. What would you like to offer?
So I would like to offer, a 45-minute kind of just coaching conversation call. Um, and that would be about something that, figure out what it is that you want to change in yourself, health and fitness related. And then from there, we do like a 30-minute personal training session together.
Right.
And this is just so that, um, we can talk and you can kind of decide on your confidence in me to help you get where you want to be. And then get a little sample of what the actual process would be like training wise.
Right, right. And so now, and what would the cost normally be for that?
So the cost for that with the coaching call and the training would normally be $150.
Right. And so that's online or in person or only online?
It could be online or in person.
Okay, okay. So $150. And so are you going to charge the $150 for that? Or is that complimentary? What is there a bargaining? What are you going to do about that?
No, so knowing what it would normally cost, I would just like, for to have the opportunity to provide these services and then allow the receiver decide on what value it brought to them.
Beautiful. So it's not that there's no money being transacted in this offer. It's that this is the value that they would have to pay if they were just paying it off of your website. But you're going to service and give them these 2 sessions, the 45 minutes of coaching around health and fitness, plus the 30-minute actual training. And then after they've experienced that, then they get to decide what they feel is the value, and then they would pay that to you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wonderful. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
So
welcome.
for those of you who are in this series, you know that I am matching everything that my guests are bringing to the table. So in that regard, I also will match a 45-minute coaching conversation, but this time I'm going to do it around relationships, specifically being in a couple, what it's like to be in a couple. And that 45-minute conversation would be around what you expect, maybe what's in the way of you being completely successful in or out of a relationship. Sometimes it can be about getting out of a relationship, and sometimes it can be about staying in a relationship. And then following that, we'll do a 30-minute process where I will take you through something that will shift you body, mind, and spirit. And the cost of that, I would say normally I would charge something like $250 for those, for the 45 minutes and the 30 minutes. So again, same deal as you, Adelaide. This is the cost, $250. After you've experienced this, then you would pay me what you consider to be the value of that session. So payment is required with both of these offers, but you as the recipient get to have the experience and then decide what you think that is of value to you. And then you would return that to each of us. So beautiful. So the way that you can claim that is you text me at 416-358-1457. Again, 416-358-1457. Now, tomorrow we don't have a guest interview. So you have until Friday at lunchtime at 12 noon to claim that. And so if you are either watching the live or on the YouTube, one person can claim either each of these or one individually. So that's really up to you. Wonderful. What a beautiful offer, Adelaide. Man, I would like that myself. So although I'm already working with you, so, that's great. So let's see. Now, looking into the new year. So it's the start of 2022 at a time when a lot of people begin to think about, oh my goodness, I need to lose weight. Oh, I need to get fit. Oh, I'm not healthy. What would you say to somebody who's kind of dealing with that right now? So, well, they're probably not thinking about it until after Christmas dinner, but as you know, that's what people get to thinking about at the new year. What would you say to somebody who's kind of in that place? What would you say to them to inspire them to be able to take action?
I would say to think about what is realistically manageable for me. So the thing that people tend to do in the new year is they go into this all or nothing thinking. And what that can result in is, oh, I have to go to the gym, 5 times a week, 40 minutes every time from nothing. And it's like, if you, let's start small. So it can be 10 minutes a day. Start with what you know that you can do and work on your everyday processes from there.
Beautiful, beautiful. So something manageable and something that you can really commit to yourself to maintain,
Yeah,
that would then be built into their regular schedule. That's what I'm hearing,
exactly.
rather than going for that, oh my goodness, I have to, bite off way much more than I can chew in the new year experience. Yeah. So for anyone out there, think about that over the next couple of weeks, as you're living your life as you are. But what is one thing that you could begin to do that would begin to make a difference? And it could be just taking a 10-minute walk around the block, or, having an inspiring phone call, or watching something really motivating, or changing what you eat for a snack in front of the TV, like little small things like that. Adelaide, it's just always such a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much for being here, for being my guest. I know there's so much more things that we could talk about, but for now, thank you so much for being here. And for all of you watching and listening, thank you once again. And you can catch us again Friday at 12 noon at this same link. And I look forward to seeing you then. So thank you once again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Gail. Bye, everyone.